And then we went in the mall. And I was afraid when I was bringing in an unstuffed, toothless Build-A-Bear. This is a test. When bringing in an unstuffed, toothless Build-A-Bear, they might think that I've stolen it from the store. So it was so much in a hurry that I didn't realize that I didn't bring his wings in the car. And then I brought his green shirt. And then we went straight into Build-A-Bear. There was a long line. And also, I was smelling all the scents on the station. And then I decided, which one is best for Toothless? The lady showed me to the movie sounds, and I didn't want the Toothless sound because it was too scary. I wanted the Light Fairy sound because it was too cute, and then I played it. And this is what it sounds like. And then we were done, and I was nervous to do this part. But I stepped on the pedal. It was like learning how to drive at first, but controlling it Toothless. And then the lady said, "Do you want him to be adorable or do you want him adorable?" And I said, "I want him adorable." And then I was so afraid, and then I watched him get fixed. And then I said, "What is happening?" And then the lady said, "Did you know there's a live action How to Train Your Dragon coming up?" And I said, "Yes, I love How to Train Your Dragon so much." And the lady said, "We might get some new Toothless stuff." And then the ladies said, "Go ahead and see if he's just right." And before the morning, I said, "He's just right, he's just right." And then the lady said, "No, you need to hug him." So I hugged him. It was the most fun experience ever. And then they did a little ceremony. I grabbed a red heart from the bucket, and then I clapped my hands, and then I rubbed it, and then I put it to my nose, and then I put it to my side, so Toothless will never leave my side. And then I closed my eyes, and I made a wish. And then I closed my eyes and I made a wish. And then I closed my eyes and I made a wish. But I think my wish was for Toothless to be sleeping. And then I gave it a kiss, and then I was done. And then I gave it a kiss, and then I was done. And then I chose the scent. It was birthday cake. It reminded me of seeds. And then Toothless was rubbed on birthday cake and he was done. And speaking of birthday cake, I can smell my Toothless now. You really smell like birthday cake. Don't you? Don't you? You're so cute, Toothless. And then we're done. And we were gonna do something. I went to the Harry Potter section. I wanted to choose between a Ravenclaw or a Slytherin robe for his pajamas. I wanted both, but we could have enough for one, so I got the Ravenclaw. That's Toothless's outfit today. And then I saw a tutu, and I got the tutu for Toothless. And then we did the birth certificate. I named him Toothless, and he was so cute. And then I had a lot of fun. I wanted to see the Light Fury Build-A-Bear, but she was not there. And then the cashier said, "Do you want a dragon house or do you want a bag for your dragon?" And then I said, "I want a dragon house." And then we went home. And just like that, that was how me and Toothless's bond strengthened. And Toothless and I were sitting in the car, comforting each other. And then when we went home, I was so busy playing with my Toothless that I've even forgot about his wings. I thought that when I was carrying out his wings, they dropped on the sidewalk because I was in a hurry. And then we got fast food. There was no playground, and then I was holding my Toothless. And then the next day, we went to go to the Build-A-Bear to get the cotton candy sent. And then I saw the headquarters at Roblox. I'm done. I just said one coincidence. And then we went to the Target, and I never did this ever again. My Toothless is having so much fun with me. He even went on 8 field trips to the school. At the school. And then he went out to Universal Studios. It was his first day. But my Toothless had a lot of fun. He even went on walking field trips. When he went on those, he wore his basketball clothes. And then my Toothless first time to see Miss Yana was at the field trip. And then Toothless' favorite is we went to see all the Komodo dragons at Roblox. And Toothless wanted to hug them, but they were scaring him. Toothless was in all of our pictures of Miss Yana. Then we were watching Toothless on Miss Yana's iPad. On Miss Yana's iPad. And it was fun. And also, Toothless has been to 100 different places. He's been to Best Buy, he's been to Walmart, he's been to everyone. He's been to watch How to Train Your Dragon soon. Are you happy? Are you happy? And everyone says that Toothless and I are a bonded pair because Toothless helps me when I'm on my period. And Toothless helps me. Toothless is still with me. And also, I remember one time that bonded pairs show distress when they are separated. And I have a great reference. A week before graduation, my parents told me that I can't bring Toothless to graduation because he's a good boy. But I snuck Toothless in the car with me, and he went to graduation. He had fun. And also, Toothless is my ESSA, which is an emotional support night fury. Oh, Toothless. Oh, are you my ESSA? And Toothless loves eating paper. And he's gonna say goodbye. Goodbye! And Toothless is still with me. And then another light fury came into me. She came from Universal Studios. Say hi, Blue Star. And her name is Blue Star. She was a legend. I brought my Toothless to the Universal Studios, and I saw a light fury and a Toothless headband. This is the light fury. Hello, everyone! I am Blue Star! She's so cute. Her tail is so cute. Wait, what happened to your wings? What happened to your wings? And then Blue Star's tail was dyed blue and pink, and her heart white in the middle, and it's white. It's barely seen, but Blue Star was also my ESSA. Ha, Blue Star. And also, I forgot to say something on the station when my uncle did the Toothless paper and then the display section. And when it was our turn, my uncle called out the first step when it was to get the Toothless paper, but I know that it was the sounds first. The lanyard, the headband, and the Luna. And they were all there, and they played, and they were watching How to Train Your Dragon. And they were going to watch the Believer Imagine Dragon movie. And then they were worried. This is her first time seeing me on my period. And then, Toothless, come over here. And then this is Toothless's first time. Toothless has seen me on my period countless times. And Toothless has seen me on my period countless times. And Toothless has seen me on my period countless times. And then that's how the story of it began. And then Toothless and I are a bonded pair for how many reasons? Because I said that I acted like a night fury at the Vietnamese restaurant, and I act like a night fury when someone comes to Toothless. And remember when I threw a fit at the Vietnamese restaurant? I threw a fit when someone tried to get close to my Toothless. And then I would be Toothless. And I said, don't do that to Toothless. We went to prison. And then Toothless and I watched How to Train Your Dragon together. And then Toothless and I are very attached to each other because my sister Hedwig said, don't name your Build-A-Bears because you will get so attached to them. And I did. I did just that. And now I'm very attached to Toothless. I'm watching television with Toothless. I'm showing Toothless how to flip a water bottle. And then when Toothless goes to the nether, you have to practice karate. And then you are getting nothing but lumpy potatoes for your behavior. And then, congrats, Toothless! And then when Luna sees her boyfriend, Toothless, she does a jump and listen. Toothless and I sit together on the bus to summer school. When there's a professor on the bus, Toothless, then I still sit together. And then under no circumstances, we have to not be broken up because when Hedwig said I should not name my How to Train Your Dragons, and then she said, if I keep naming all the Toothlesses, I should be attached to them because what if Toothless has to go? I will be worried. And then we went to the pizza party at summer school and we watched How to Train Your Dragon. And Toothless and I are sitting down and I called the Hedwig. Toothless and Luna are bonded and they will be sitting together and Toothless and Luna are hugging. And then I saw Toothless ring the How to Train Your Dragon and then Luna rings her boyfriend before going to college. And then you save your friend from night furies while protecting her babies. And then I remember, before Yana was Miss Yana, I knew Miss Yana before she became Miss Yana. Then, when I was playing with Toothless, she was there. Yana was just there. When a night fury came up to my Toothless, I tried very hard to protect Toothless. I even threw a fireball at the night fury. But then, just as I was about to scream, Yana came in. She saved me while I was protecting Toothless. Toothless and Luna. And then Toothless and Luna are safe. I want to watch How to Train Your Dragon. I want to see Toothless the Dragon. I wish to see an Enderman. I want to call Steve when I have memories of a degree. And do you remember when I graduated, Toothless? And do you remember when we graduated together, Toothless? I think, Toothless, did you know you are a baby? And you're so cute. I really love Toothless. How to Train Your Dragon. Toothless, safe. Good boy, Toothless. You did so good. I think I have to show the headband now. Say goodbye, Toothless. There's a lot of How to Train Your Dragons. Hello, I am Toothless. Aw, you're so cute. I am very cute because I let out a midnight roar. And then I was so adorbs. And then I need to watch How to Train Your Dragon. And then I was so cute, and we were watching How to Train Your Dragon. And then, can you see me now? I'm a little scared, but this is my first time on the camera, and I remember that time I saw Toothless. And Toothless, put on your headband. Here he is. And here he is now. Toothless and his headband. I am a headband, and I am Toothless. And then together, the headband and Toothless had a lot of fun. Whee! How to Train Your Dragon! We had a lot of fun, Toothless. And even Luna did. Come here, Luna. She's so cute. Aw, hi. Meow. Yeah, Luna knows that I can talk to her. Yeah, she's hiding. Poor Luna, she's timid. She did a jump! That was the end of the dragon story. That's the end of the dragon story. The end! And speaking of the end, I loved that story so much. Stitch! I think I can watch How to Train Your Dragon. I think I can watch How to Train Your Dragon. Stitch? Toothless? I need to shed a dragon tear. Stitch! And then a Doom for Chop, a Doom Pachata, How to Train Your Dragon. Blah, 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 blah. I wonder what this Toothless keychain does. Watching How to Train Your Dragon for the whole winter. Boring.